Hey kiddos, so my video today is going to be about order of operations. I'm going to do several examples with you so that we can practice this, and hopefully that'll help you when you're working on your assignment. Before I go over the problems though, I want to kind of go over what we use for order of operations. We know that it's going to tell us to do the problem in a specific order, so that we can get the correct answer. And if we don't do it in the correct order, then we get a different answer than we're supposed to. So we know we can use the acronym PEMDAS. And I want to just kind of review what those letters are standing for. So we know that we check first for parentheses, okay? And what we know that means, that can also mean brackets. Any kind of grouping symbol can apply there. So we look to see, do we have any of those? The next thing we're going to look for are exponents. We need to see, do we need to do the, clean up those? All right, now the next two right here, these are obviously multiplication and division. But the main thing we need to remember about that, if we have both of those in a problem, we have to remember we have to go left to right. Whatever comes first in the problem, okay? All right, the last two, this stands for adding and subtracting. And remember, same situation. If we have both of those in a problem, we're going to go left to right, okay? So those are our operations that we're going to be looking for in these problems, and we're going to use this on every single one. So let's get to some examples. Okay, on this problem, they're actually giving you several different problems, but you're having to figure out which one is going to give you the greatest value. So this is telling me that I'm going to have to work out each one of these problems, get their value, and then choose which one's the greatest. All right, so this first one, when I'm looking at it, I see several things, but the main thing that stands out to me is that I definitely see different kinds of grouping symbols. I see brackets and I see parentheses. So inside those brackets, I'm going to go ahead and do my parentheses. So I'm going to bring everything else down, including the brackets. I'm going to go ahead and say 6 minus 2, which is 4, bring down my times 2, and close my brackets. All right, sometimes whenever you see, when I did that step, I lost the parentheses because they weren't affecting anything else. I have other I have other operational symbols to tell me what to do next. Now, when we do this next step, because I'm still got to complete what is inside the brackets, when I do this, if you notice, there is no other operational symbol there. So we're going to have to keep those brackets to mean multiplication. So when I bring this down, I'm actually going to keep the brackets there, or I can change them to parentheses if I wanted to make sure that I understand that I've got to multiply this number inside the brackets times that 8. And actually what ends up being inside the brackets is also 8. That way I can tell that to finish out this problem, I have to go ahead and do the multiplication before I do the addition. So I'm going to bring down the 10. 8 times 8 is 64. And that gives me a final answer of 74. So that tells me the value for the first one is 74. All right. And remember, we're trying to find the greatest value, so I've got to do all of the others. All right, on this next one, again, I see grouping symbols. I see brackets. I see parentheses. So just like I did on the last one, I'm going to do the parentheses inside those brackets first. So I'm going to leave all of this alone for right now. 50 divided by 10, is going to give you 5. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. All right, I'm going to finish out my grouping symbols, my brackets, and go 5 times 5. That's going to give me 25. This time I don't need to keep the brackets because I have an addition symbol right after it. So I know what other operations I have, so I can drop those brackets. At this last step, I have addition, I have multiplication. I know multiplication comes first. So I'm going to bring my 25 down. And then 4 times 6 is going to give me 24. And I add these together to get 49. All right, so that tells me this number is 49, which is telling me it's definitely not the one with the greatest value. So I'm going to continue on and do the other problems and see if anything is higher than 74. All right, this next problem, again, we have brackets and parentheses, so we know we're going to deal with those first. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the subtraction inside those parentheses. I'm going to keep my brackets for now and see if we need them later. 18 minus 4 is going to give me 14. I'm going to bring down everything else. All right. Now I'm going to finish out these brackets. And just like in the past, since there's no operational symbol between the 6 and the brackets, that tells me I still need them because it's going to tell me that I have multiplication there. So first thing I need to figure out is what is 14 times 4, and that is going to give you 56. So I'm going to leave this and say inside here is 56 and then divided by 6. Now I have left multiplication and division. So remember those rules are left to right. So whatever comes first in the problem, in this case it's the multiplication. So if you can't do a problem like this in your head, that's okay. Just go off to the side, do some scratch work real quick. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 5 is 30. Plus 3 is 33. So that's 336. But I'm not finished because I have to divide that. So we're going to do 336 divided by 6. 6 can go into 33 5 times. And all I'm doing is just some scratch work off to the side. Bring down your 6. 6 can go into 36 6 times. All right, so that means this final answer right here is 56, which tells me it's also not the greatest value because the top one has a value of 74. So our only option now is the very last one. Okay, once again, we see in this problem we have brackets and parentheses. Inside the parentheses this time we have two operations, so we're going to have to decide what we need to do first and go from there. So we're definitely leaving all of this alone for right now. Inside the parentheses, I see addition or multiplication. I know I'm going to have to do the multiplication first. All right, so I'm keeping the parentheses for right now because I'm not finished with them. So we have 8, and then that's going to give me 10. All right, and then the minus 12. I know I'm still working on our brackets and inside the parentheses, so I've got to do this first. I'm still just dragging down everything else. All right, 8 plus 8, 10, is 18. And then you bring this down. All right, so now we're going to finish inside the brackets and bring everything else still down. 18 minus 12 is 6. Now, the reason I kept those brackets, remember, is because there's nothing between the 4 and the brackets to tell me an operation, so I know that means multiplication. Now, remember, with division and multiplication, the rule is left to right, whatever comes first. So that means I'm going to do this division first. 40 divided by 4 is 10, and then my last step is going to be the multiplication. So 10 times 6 gives you 60. So that tells me this definitely doesn't have a value greater than the first one. So overall, the first one is our answer. Okay, on this problem, I've already worked out all of the different problems and shown you what the answers should be. This is one of those that you would drag and drop the answer into the matching question or the matching problem. So you can pause this video. I kind of labeled them A, B, C, and D. You can pause it, look how I worked each one of them out, and see how I got those answers. I thought that might be a little better than, since I worked out the first problem step by step. I'm still working them out, but I'm not making the video quite as long. Okay, I did something similar on this problem. It was asking you, it gave you a specific problem that ended up being a value of 16, and that I wanted them to create a problem that matched that value. I've worked out each person's problem, and you can pause the video and see how I worked out each one of them. And you can tell that Ava was the one that ended up with the same value of 16. So that is why Ava is your answer on this one. All right, on this problem, they were asking which two expressions are equivalent to 41. So I worked out each one of them. I labeled them A, B, C, and D, and E. So you can see where I worked each problem out. And it turns out the first two were the only ones that equaled 41. So those are your two answers. All right, this problem is a different type of problem, still order of operations, but also writing expressions. So you just have to read through each of the examples and see what they're telling you. You have to know the words product means multiplication, quotient means division, sum means addition, and put those things together. So you can see what answers I marked for each one. I tried to draw on each example and show you how I got those answers. Okay, on this problem, it was asking you which expression matched the wording of it. So you had to look through, see the operations that we were given, the operational words, and translate that to an expression. I labeled them down at the bottom, the answer choices A, B, C through H. So you can see which answer choices I chose. You can match them. The first one's obviously D. Since this one's D, then this answer right here. Then this one is going to be A here. This one's E, so it's this answer, and then H, so it's this last answer. That's the only 4 that you needed out of that problem. All right, so this is the last example that I'm going to do on this video. So I hope that this helped. I hope that you watch this and the other videos that I attached to the Google Doc, And then once you're finished with that, go work on the short Master Connect assignment for me, okay? Have a great day, and I'll see you later on Google Meet at 12.